Rather than fussing about what story gets more coverage than the other, we might want to pay attention to the stories that will never be allowed to see the light of day, as we'll see in our next story, as we look at the movie No Way Back, a detransitioner's journey from gender-affirming care, quote-unquote gender-affirming care, into actually coming to the realization that these surgeries are eminently harmful for them, and especially for young children who do not know what they are getting into. But of course, that didn't stop places like AMC from banning the movie and making sure that no one would ever see it. Quote, AMC Theater has abruptly canceled screenings of a documentary film showcasing the experience of detransitioners following a campaign by a transgender group to have the film pulled. No Way Back, the reality of gender-affirming care, shares the stories of 5 young detransitioners and insight from a dozen medical experts on the harm being posed by healthcare providers pushing transitions. Producers of the film claim AMC shelved screenings scheduled to begin June 21st after intense pressure from a group called the Queer Trans Project, which did not have access to view the full documentary. Since you won't ever see it at AMC, at least we can show you this. Here is the trailer for this film about detransitioners.
One night I remember having a dream that I was a boy. I felt so happy after waking up from that dream. It just felt like I was excited to be alive. And then I got up and went and looked in the mirror, and just that happiness was like crushed. Based on the information that I had, that medical transition is by far the best treatment and that you are at risk for suicide if you don't follow that path, I thought I only really had one path that I could take.
I became alarmed back in 2019 after I realized I was seeing more kids with gender dysphoria, and every single one I referred to the gender clinic was being transitioned.
So it's often said that puberty blockers are reversible, but the majority of children who are started on puberty blockers, over 95%, go on to take cross-sex hormones. Puberty blockers cannot be considered a standalone intervention.
If it worked, I'd be very open to it. It's like putting diesel in the petrol tank.
There was a study looking at the Swedish population of those who had transitioned that found that those who had transitioned had suicide rates 19 times higher than population-matched controls.
Puberty blockers followed by cross-sex hormones. The fact they're being offered outside of clinical trials, despite the fact there's so much unknown about long-term risk, is a scandal in and of itself.
It's up to us on the left to walk this back. I want liberals to make room for gender diversity, and that includes masculine girls and feminine boys, without telling them that they need to leave their sex category because they are different.
Like I said, I have to now live with what I've done.
These doctors and therapists put me through this. They had no reason to, except for the fact that I said it.
Now, it's so sad these people had to go through what they have been through. It's even more sad that now they are being shut down when they try to talk about it. And there is a group of people that should be talking about this stuff, but are often very hesitant to do so. And they say things like this: oh, Christian conservatives are all talk and no action, and we don't need to just talk about this stuff. You know, we need to be given stuff to do about it. And what are we going to do about it? And why all the talking about it? Well, for my Christian conservative audience out there, and for anybody who actually has a conscience, I just want to be really clear with you about something that I think is important for us to rethink on this issue. Talking is an action. So I actually don't understand what you mean when you say all talk and no action. Sure, there are other actions that you can take that may be more substantive than talking, but let's be real about something. Talking is an action, and it's a very important one. If talk wasn't such a big deal, then why are so many in our culture so afraid of it? Why does the left have to shut down films like this film about detransitioners in order to push for their agenda? The reason why is that talk is a very potent and powerful tool. Now, again, there may be other options that bring about greater change, but let's not underestimate talking about these things and how important that may be. I hear it so very often from people in my own camp. Well, we don't know what to do about these things, and what is all the information going to do at the end of the day? Let me give you a quick story about this and why I think we need to rethink the importance of talking about these things and discussing them as much as we possibly can, even if at times we don't know exactly what to do as a result. Just this past weekend, I went to a walk for life. Now, the year before, right around the time Roe v. Wade was overturned, we did this same walk for life with a local pregnancy resource center. And it was wall-to-wall people. The park was filled with people. The parking lot was covered with cars from the entrance all the way to where the event actually took place. My wife and my kids, we actually had to park far, far away from the event and actually walk to it to get to where everything was going on. But this year, in the aftermath of Roe v. Wade being overturned and that victory taking place, it was probably about 1/4 of the crowd side as it was in the past. Now, what do I credit that difference for? Or what do I credit that difference with? I think it's simply because we were talking about abortion a year ago in a much more substantive and much more ubiquitous fashion than we are right now in the present. We've earned that victory. We've put it up on the TAC board, and now we're ready to move on. And as a result of it, people are less motivated and less interested in being active. See, talking about the thing actually made a huge difference because it put it in people's mind and it made them think about it. Talking is so important because it makes you think through your position. It makes you think through what you are actually supposed to do about the thing that you're talking about. Talking about something precedes action. So if you are not willing to talk about it and talk about it a lot, you are probably not going to think through what is an appropriate action. See, talk is not cheap. I guess it can be, and maybe needs to be accompanied with other things. But talk in and of itself isn't valued in society today because we don't really value thinking. Furthermore, there's still a fight on our hands. Even though Roe v. Wade was overturned, there are 6 states in America with absolutely zero exceptions to abortion. And the vast majority can still terminate all the way up to 24 weeks. And moreover, 93% of abortions happen within the first 13 weeks of discovering that you're pregnant. Just because I believe that it's important that we let the reality of this stuff sink in, let me show you what a baby looks like at 24 weeks. And I'm putting it up for you on the screen now. And for those of you who are listening, not watching, let me just ease your mind. A baby at 24 weeks doesn't look like a quote-unquote fetus. It looks like a baby. It's got arms, legs, eyes, ears, nose. Why is it that we are so easily moved from our positions so quickly? Yes, we've scored the victory of overturning Roe v. Wade, but trust me, the Democrats have not stopped talking about abortion and lying to the American public about it. As we celebrate the anniversary of Roe v. Wade, we are talking less about these important issues, and the left is talking about them more. Here's our esteemed former president, Barack Obama, talking about abortion. Here's what he had to say about it on Twitter. It's been a year since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Since then, 14 states have banned most abortions, leaving millions of women and girls with nowhere to turn for the care they need. And yet, there are reasons to hope. Oh, good. Goody goody, we can hope that babies can be murdered. After Roe v. Wade was overturned, voters in Michigan, California, and Vermont helped enshrine abortion rights in their state constitutions. And governors in states like Nevada, Hawaii, and Pennsylvania have signed executive orders to protect abortion access. Now, let me read that again for you, but let me now remove the euphemisms and give you the plain, honest truth. After Roe v. Wade was overturned, voters in Michigan and Vermont helped enshrine murder rights in their state constitutions. And governors in states like Nevada, Hawaii, and Pennsylvania have signed executive orders to protect murder access. So hear me good, guys. I know there's a lot of talk on this show, but it's important that we do it. Because the less we talk, the less we think about these things. And the less we think about them, the less we have to grapple with the reality of what they mean. And this is just what the left is hoping. They're hoping that a life in the womb, because you can't see it with your physical eyes, these materialist, anti-God murderers are hoping that you just shut it out of your mind and quit talking about it and move on. The more you have to think about these things because you hear it all around you, the better. The more we talk about it, the more we have to consider these things. So don't let the cries of silence fool you. The left and Democrats will continue to keep talking, and you should too. If they really valued silence, they'd shut up. But they don't value silence. They just value your silence. Don't give it to them. So you just got done watching a small excerpt of a much larger episode. You can find the link to that full episode down below in the description of this video. So you definitely want to check that out, because if you like that clip, you'll like the much larger episode. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click that little bell to be notified when great new episodes of Indie Thinker come your way. Thanks for watching.